Hello and happy podcast day, Falcon Paladin.
Hello, Somicron. Happy podcast today as you as well. I think I put a today in there instead of day, but man, it's been a long day.
It has been a long day.
Yeah, yeah,
It
been a
has.
lot, but podcast time is a good time. So,
It's true. It's true. Let's
yep.
unwind and have fun and, get to it.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, I think we're well into October here. Halloween's coming up.
It is coming, yes.
I think my daughter still wants to be the person she hates most from the Tower of God
Oh,
for Halloween.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So that's exciting. I attended a performance of hers. Her school did the like kids version of the musical Aladdin.
Okay.
So I attended that performance yesterday and it was actually impressive. I think she said they held auditions the second day of school and then it was like 5 weeks of rehearsals and bam, they put this thing on. So it was crazy.
Yeah.
I was
5 week
impressed.
turnaround. Yeah, no, that's impressive for sure.
Yeah. I
I
mean, it's
mean,
not like a 3 hour thing.
no,
It's maybe like 60 minutes, but still,
I
tons of work for kids.
I couldn't remember 60 minutes worth of lines if you gave me 5 weeks. Like, it's
Yeah,
not happening.
right.
We could.
But we're
We,
old though.
well, it's true. But I'm saying we couldn't script this podcast with 5 weeks of prep time. It's not happening.
No, our brains are old and hardened. These are young, spongy brains that can accept information easily.
Yeah, I was thinking about
Yeah.
it. I'm like 4 years away from the earliest possible time I might be able to say to someone, I've been working in this bakery since before you were born.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Mm.
right. And that's
Yeah, I don't
to
like
another
that.
coworker, not to like a customer, is what I mean.
Well, because it's easy if it's a
The customer.
customer.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right.
Some
Like
3-year-old. It's like, oh,
all
something go.
almost all of my nieces I think fit that bill. Right, like
Right.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Coworker is when it gets dicey.
That's when you start
Ugh.
feeling old.
Right.
So old.
Right. Anyway, yeah. So that was exciting. I mean, I don't know. Like her mom is a huge, huge actress, like musical theater, opera person. And so after the show, like they do, the cast all goes out into the lobby, and as the audience is filtering out, they greet them and like, how was it? And families there, and they're all giving them flowers and stuff. And I see my daughter, and she's got the same look in her eyes that her mom does when she's just finished a performance. Like she is amped, she is so excited and so happy. And I'm like, all right, we're doing this for the rest of your life, I guess. I'll be going to some more musicals, I suppose, but this is what I signed up for, I suppose.
I mean, there are
Yeah,
worse things, right?
100%, 100%. It was fun. I think Aladdin might be my favorite Disney like musical movie, like cartoon,
Well, okay.
animated
It,
feature. Sorry,
is
not a
is
cartoon.
is the debatable? Is the
Yeah.
original Aladdin a musical? I haven't seen
Yeah,
it. Okay.
yeah. No, this was part of the era where every movie that they were putting out that was animated had musical, like 5 or 6 songs in it. They just
Okay.
had people composing music for it all the time.
Okay.
They stopped that with like Atlantis and Treasure Planet, I think, in
Okay.
the early 2000s.
Sure.
I think they had what's the movie they freaked out about? Crap, I don't remember. There was a movie in the late 90s that was in the same vein as like The Lion King and The Little Mermaid and Aladdin and stuff and all these major hits they had, Beauty and the Beast.
Uh huh.
We checked and actually Aladdin made $1 billion adjusted for inflation for
Really?
$1992. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it was a massive hit.
Yeah.
So they're making all this money from what they're doing. And then they did another one in the same vein as what they'd been doing for the past 20 years, and it didn't work. Audiences were like, meh. So they're like, it's the songs. They don't like the songs anymore.
Ah,
And
okay.
then they made 2 animated features without songs, and those didn't work. And they're like, they don't like 2D animation anymore. Go 3D. And that's where we are today.
Okay.
And then they went live action, and that worked for some stupid reason. I still don't understand how the live action version of The Lion King made like $1 billion. I don't understand it.
I don't get how you can call it live action.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for stories with human characters, live action. But with CGI lions, I suppose it's not
Right.
live action. It's realism, The Lion King. Yeah.
Right. Right. So hold
Yeah.
on. I'm looking at Disney's filmography, all of their films.
Uh-huh.
When was Aladdin? There you go, 1992. So then what came out after it that they were like, no more songs?
Yeah.
The
I guess we
Muppets,
could look up
Christmas
the list.
Carol,
No, that was
Homeward
great.
Bound,
Maybe that one.
A Far Off Place, The Adventures of Huck Finn, Hocus Pocus.
There's a Huck Finn movie in the 90s? Is there?
Yeah, The Adventures of Huck Finn,
Whoa.
April 2nd, 1993.
That's not late 90s, though. That's right after Aladdin and before The Lion King. So that's not what
Yeah.
I'm concerned about. Disney films 90s. Man, they put out a lot of stuff. There's animated films, but there's also a ton of live action stuff in here too, huh?
Yeah, was it Cool Runnings?
The Mighty Ducks. Yeah, Cool Runnings. Man, I love Cool Runnings. It's a funny movie.
I've never seen it.
It's about a Jamaican bobsled team that competes in the Olympics.
I've heard of that premise.
Yeah, there you go.
The Return of Jafar?
No, that's a sequel to Aladdin, and the sequels never did as well as the originals. I don't think they were freaking out about the Return of Jafar not doing well. Tarzan did well. Maybe I'm misremembering because Tarzan's 99 and Tarzan kicked
Okay.
ass. Like they made a gajillion dollars on that one too.
Right.
And then it's a bunch of live action stuff for the rest of the 90s. The rest of 99. They released like it's like 20 movies in 1999.
Yeah, there's a lot. Like, even in 1998, God, how many's there? Beauty and the Beast, Bella's Magical World. Bella's Magical World.
A sequel to Beauty and the Beast that nobody cares about, right?
Right. Meet the Deedles. It's
Sure.
not an animated film, but I'm just counting all of them here that
Okay.
Disney did. Mulan, The Parent Trap, Pocahontas 2, The Jungle Book, Mowgli's Story, it's a sequel. Lion King 2, Mowgli.
Yeah.
Mowgli, yeah. I'll Be Home for Christmas, A Bug's Life, Joe Young. My Favorite Martian is just 99. So it's like they were putting out a ton of movies every year.
They sure were.
Just half of them
I'm
were
looking
animated,
at the
half of
year
them not.
2002, and there's a ton of this. So many sequels too. Like, there's a sequel to The Little Mermaid that came out in 2000, and The Little Mermaid was like 1987. Like,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, people still like The Little Mermaid. Let's put a sequel out. There's a sequel to 101 Dalmatians that came out in the year 2000. Like, my goodness.
Yep.
Yeah, they were just churning out kind of garbage here. So maybe, but they never expected anything from their sequels either. They're like, this will make our money back and maybe some profit, I guess. It's easy. Let's do it.
I assume they were like, it's easy, let's do it. Right. It's an idea that we already know works, so it's not a huge
Yeah.
risk. And then they were
Yeah.
like, and we can sell these to TVs to play at like 4 p.m. You know?
Yeah.
And that's where
Oh,
they
no,
make their money.
absolutely. Yeah. Put it on the Disney Network. When did the Disney Channel become a thing?
Don't know.
The Disney Channel started in April 1983. Okay. I thought it was way later than that. But this was like premium cable. I don't know what that means. Then they moved to basic cable in 1997. So that's, I think, when they started getting a ton of eyeballs on it. So maybe they just like, we need content for the Disney Channel, so let's just put a bunch of movies out that no one cares about, but kids will watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting. And then, yeah, you got 2002 here. You've got a sequel to The Santa Claus, which
Whoa.
is the Tim Allen Become Santa movie
Yep.
that actually did pretty well, too. A sequel to Cinderella. What are you doing?
What is Tuck Everlasting?
Tuck Everlasting is a book, a very sad book for kids. It's one of those
Okay.
books that, like, it's well written, but it has, like, child death in it.
Okay. Yep.
And I don't know, schools when I was a kid were like, read this story, it's great. And then, like, me and my best friend, we are the best. We get along. My best friend died of leukemia. And you're like, what?
Okay. Yep.
They did that to us all the time. Yeah, Tuck Everlasting is sad. And then Disney's like, this should be a movie. So maybe I don't know. I thought for sure there was a movie that they put a lot of time into that sucked. They just stopped making Musical movies. Huh.
Yeah, I guess so.
There is no impetus for it. They just stopped doing it.
There's a movie called The Lion King 1.5.
Yes, there is.
What?
I have not watched it.
Damn, no, I'm not going to in principle.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, alrighty then. So you reminded me of something. It's not Disney, it's Pixar that does like Cars.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was listening to an old podcast a while ago, and they were telling about a story that someone had that they went to, I don't know, like a meeting or a speech or something with a Q&A with someone who works at Pixar and was talking about their process for like what movies move forward in production and which ones get canceled.
Yeah.
And they asked them a question like it was we've had some misses here and there, but these movies don't go on. And it's like, oh, so what happened with like Cars 2? Just like really asked them. And he's like, oh, no, we were confident in Cars 2. Apparently, Cars 2 is a giant piece of shit and really offended the guy. That's just what you reminded me. It's like they thought it was a good movie going into like release, and
Yeah.
sometimes you put something out and the audience goes, no, no more singing, please, or no more Cars 2. Let's go to well, Cars 3 is also a freaking nightmare if you've seen it.
But Cars 2 made $600 million worldwide. Like, it crushed.
This is just what I remember from an old thing.
Like, no, I'm sure the general consensus among moviegoers is that it's not as good as 1.
Right.
I get that. But yeah, but sometimes general consensus bad movies make $1 bajillion. So,
Yeah, Michael
kids
Bay.
exist. You can't account for kids. Yeah, or Michael Bay films. You can't account for just, I'm here for explosions and robots. I don't care about anything else. People will pay tickets for that, or they used to. Maybe not anymore. Yeah. Anywho, how the heck did we get talking about Aladdin? My daughter did Aladdin. Yeah, and I just said I think Aladdin's maybe my favorite Disney film. Period.
Fair enough.
We talked about Robin Williams in that movie on the podcast.
I don't think so.
Okay, so just bottom line, Robin Williams plays the genie. He has like just brings Robin Williams' energy to the part. He's big, he's bombastic, he's hilarious, he's very fun. He really is a big part of the film, working as well as it does. So apparently, what happened was he showed up, got hired for the part at Disney, showed up. They were like, "Here's your script," and he's like, "This isn't gonna really work for me." So they put him in a recording booth and just let him kind of read from the script and like do his own thing. When the genie was in a scene, and they had like 30 hours of Robin Williams just like riffing and doing impersonations and telling jokes. And the person they interviewed was like, 40% of it was like not for kids in any way.
Right.
We had to filter a lot of this. So they cut it down to however many minutes Genie's on screen for the movie, and they're like, all right,
Right.
this is it. This is the best of Robin Williams for this part in this movie. Go. And it works. Like, I am just incredibly impressed they managed to pull that off because it sounds really hard.
That sounds like a nightmare, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you get the genie to say, you have 3 wishes when Robin Williams won't read the line, you've got 3 wishes, kid?
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like he did, right? Because, again, it's not that he completely discarded the script. I think he just wasn't willing to be as line by line by line by line of what they wanted. So he understood what the story was. He understood what the story needed from the genie, and he gave them what they needed. But then, all this other stuff too. This other Robin Williams stuff.
He should get a writing credit on that movie then.
Absolutely should get a writing credit on the movie. He's pissed at them, actually. Well, he's dead now, but he was pissed at them. Because he said he didn't want his voice used in any of the merchandising that they did for the movie.
Right, yeah.
And Disney's like, okay. And then they totally did. And he was like, fuck you guys. Which is fair.
Seems fair to me.
But it's Disney, man. Like, they do what they want. They're horrible.
I think it was Warner Brothers offered Jet Li a role in The Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions, but they were going to have him mocap all of his like kung fu moves and then own it in perpetuity, like so that they could use it for in a digital like motion capture database, and just be like, we're going to apply it to whatever we want. We want to put it in games, we can. We want to use it in other movies, it's ours. And he's like, no, no, no.
Yeah, I will not check yes on this form. Yeah, and then you have the other side of it where like James Earl Jones, they have a ton of recordings from him for Darth Vader. And he and his estate were like, yeah, that's fine. If you want to keep using the Darth Vader character even after James Earl Jones has passed on, which he recently did, you can. You can keep using his voice. And it's like,
But
okay.
well, here's the
They
thing.
paid you a lot for that.
I paid someone a lot for that. I mean,
Yeah.
here's the thing. If that was his wishes, that's fine. I've got no problem with that.
Right.
But it is specifically only for Darth Vader. They can't then
Right.
augment him to be someone else as well.
Yeah. Yeah. That would be interesting if they just came out with some CGI movie where like one of the characters is just James Earl Jones. Like,
They have to get someone else to voice it.
yeah, it'd be weird. We live in a weird future, man.
Yep.
I don't like it sometimes.
You okay there, buddy?
I was.
You thinking about the future and getting sad?
Thinking about the future, getting weirded out. Yeah, my middle child in one of his classes is actually trying to teach the kids how to differentiate between AI images and not AI images.
Okay.
And he's like, and it's cool. You learn all these tips and tricks. I'm like, are they telling you that eventually you won't be able to tell? And he's like, what?
What?
I'm like, eventually you won't be able to tell.
No.
And he's like, well, look, why are we doing this then? I'm like, I don't know.
Because it's useful in the medium term.
It's useful now, yes. But there will come a day. There will come a day where we won't be able to tell. It's getting better all the time. Yeah, I saw a meme. I posted it in the Discord server actually, where it's Gandalf like smiling, like I'm seeing fewer AI images. The next one's like frowning. I'm seeing fewer AI images.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah, I like that a lot. There was actually an earlier version of that meme on Reddit where it used lesser AI images instead of the grammatically correct fewer AI images, and I was like, I'm not sharing that one. It's grammatically incorrect. And then like 4 hours later, somebody posted one that had it fixed, and I was like, hooray!
I like that you weren't going to take the time to fix it yourself.
No, I'm applying to hundreds of jobs. I don't have time for any of this.
I feel like you have plenty of time for that kind of stuff.
I could have, you're right. But I knew that somebody else would do it for me. Because it bothered me, it's going to bother somebody else.
It's a good rule of thumb.
Anywho, the future. Speaking of the future, Warhammer is the future.
Warhammer
A future.
It is a grim, dark future.
Yeah.
Which be one of trillions to untold toil and labors for the God Emperor. I got home from work. I'm going to divert very slightly. I got home from work today. I don't normally work today, but I had work shoveling food in my mouth. And I'm like, I'll just scroll Instagram. And I see a reel from my tattoo artist being like, I drew this a few years ago. Would love to do it for a back piece or a leg piece. Let me know if you're keen. I'll give you a good deal on it. And it was a frickin' Space Marine.
What Legion?
Well, it's white, so like it's like a stencil. It's not. You could paint it whatever you.
Any Legion you want.
Any chapter you want. And it's
chapter. Sorry.
Well, I could make it a legion. Like it's not technically incorrect, but it was fighting like a plague marine, and the plague marine's like stepped on someone's head, and it's like guts all over the ground. And I'm like, I'll get
Like,
that.
Me.
Yeah. So
you did it.
I mean, this was today. I didn't get a tattoo today. Like, I booked it.
You booked it, so it's happening.
It's happening.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Are you gonna do your beloved Night Lords?
Night Lord's fighting a plague marine.
Yeah. Come on, it's the look.
It post chaos.
If the book we just read tells me anything, yes, a plague lord fighting a night, or a night lord fighting a plague marine. Yes.
No, I probably won't do that.
Okay, fine. Ultramarine it is.
Probably, maybe.
Probably.
I'm trying to think of all the people who have feuds with the plague marines, and it's like Ultramarines and the White Scars. And the White Scars are cool, but white ink is a little hard to work with for tattoos, I hear.
Yeah, fair enough.
Probably go Ultramarines, probably. But, stay tuned for that.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That's a good point. I can't ever think of tattoos that I've seen in person or online where there's a lot of white on it. You're right. What the heck?
Yep.
Interesting. Wonder why that is.
White ink
It
just
could-
doesn't sit in the skin very well. That's it.
Huh.
It's just hard to work with, so people don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Learn
Like I
something
have a
new.
touch of white. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see, but like the skull on my arms. Hold on, if I go this way, you can see it a little bit better. The skull,
Mm. Mm.
it has little dots of white eyes. That's white ink.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like
But
you,
it's like the tiniest bit. Yeah.
tiniest little bit, and it's just to create a bit of negative space. It doesn't look white. It just looks like there wasn't tattooed there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay. Cool. Well, good. I'm glad you got it. That's fantastic. That's so cool. How much of a deal are we talking here? Like
I don't
10%
know.
off?
I don't know. We'll talk price later. It depends on how big I make it. Like
Hmm.
he said, he wanted to do it as a back piece, and I'm like, I don't want that full thing on my back.
Whoa, that would be so cool.
It would, but it's not for me to have an entire Space Marine on my back.
What? You're the biggest Warhammer fan I know. Why not?
I don't know. It's a bit weird.
Okay. Is it the idea of a back tattoo at all?
It's the
Or
idea of using the entire back for one thing, maybe.
okay, yeah,
Right.
I
Yeah.
get that.
That's a really big child soldier on your back, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but it would look badass.
It would look really badass to have a warrior with a bunch of fascist symbols on my back. It would look great to make that as big as possible.
Okay, but if you're concerned about that, then why are you still a Warhammer fan at all? Come on.
You can be a fan without getting it inked onto you.
Yeah, but I don't know that getting a tattoo for anything Warhammer is any more indicative that you're a fascist than like buying a tabletop figure.
Yeah, I mean, sure, but there are people who will get the iconography alone, like, so the twin-headed eagle for the Imperium is
Right.
basically ripped whole cloth from like Nazis, right? And people will be like, "That's cool," and just try and get a two-headed eagle tattooed on them, not realizing that there's a bunch of people out there who's going to recognize that for the original thing and not the Warhammer thing. And so,
Well, the
like,
original thing is it was Germany's flag, and then was co-opted by the Nazis. But
Right.
yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah,
you get what I mean? It's like a
Yeah.
swastika. It's like, well, if it's going the right direction, people might recognize it from Hinduism. Probably not.
right.
But like,
Probably not.
if you get like a space marine fighting another space marine, and you just tone down the symbols in a couple places, it's probably fine. There's enough context there, and that's the important part.
Truth.
Which is,
Yeah.
why I'm not getting a two-headed eagle.
Good. I mean, good call.
Yeah.
Way to think through that one. Huh.
Yep.
All right. Good.
So when are you getting a tattoo? When are you gonna get your beloved Night Lord's tattoo?
You know, I'm probably not.
No,
I
you
don't
think
know. I don't know. Like,
get a little Fat
like-
Paladin logo on your wrist, baby.
I know, right?
Something to rep the channel.
I don't know. I've just never wanted one before. Like in my whole life, I've never been like, man, I would like a tattoo so much. So if I ever get the desire to get one, then sure, we can talk about it. But
Sure. Sure. That's like waiting for a brick to change color.
probably, to be
Yeah.
fair. Yeah.
Fair enough. I can't argue with that.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Speaking of Warhammer, should we talk about Warhammer?
Yeah, let's talk about the book.
All right.
We read Slaves to Darkness by John French.
We did. And boy, howdy, is this book a whole lot of warp bullshit. Oh my gosh. It is nothing but warp and demon bullshit. The whole thing, from start to finish, there is no point at which there is not warp bullshit going on.
There's a lot of warp bullshit, yeah.
Like, visions and vision quests, like you said earlier, and, like, going into some blood frenzy because you're being possessed by something that you didn't know was going on, and I don't know, man. It was a lot.
You didn't like this book? Is that what I'm getting? It's just like a lot of warp bullshit where nothing makes sense and you can do whatever you want?
I mean, okay. Here's what this book is.
Give us the
Hey,
rundown.
you thought the legions of Horus were all united in their goal to take down the Emperor. Guess again. There it is. That's the whole thing. Like, nope. There's tons of infighting. Then no one's getting along. It's pretty bad. Horus is not getting along with Horus right now, which is even crazier,
Uh-huh.
right? So, but how will we overcome all of this disunity before we march on Terra? Because if we're that splintered, we're never going to take down the Emperor, right?
It's true.
So we got to do some stuff to unite everyone, and that's what this book is.
Yep.
Like, they gave us a problem. I mean, no. Other books have talked about how Alfarius is doing their own thing, and Perturabo is not really into the warp bullshit, and Fulgrim turned in... No, yeah.
Yeah.
Fulgrim turned into a demon lord. So,
Uh-huh.
like, yes, they've given us all these pieces that, like, the Chaos Legions are fractured right now.
Uh-huh.
So they did have to fix that problem, I guess. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so this is, like, broad strokes, there's a lot of, like, this is the state of the galaxy. Fulgrim's self-obsessed, Agron's bloody, Mortarian's off to somewhere else, like, he didn't want to be there. Alfarius is Alfarius, right?
Alfarius is Alfarius.
Like-
There's that great moment towards the end.
You're
The
right.
Alpha Legion shows up and it's like, who is that? I'm Alfarius. And it's like, yeah, we know.
Sure you are.
It's a very meta moment in the
Yeah.
book. I liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a lot of, like, broad strokes of, like, but at the same time, it does bring everyone together under the plot device that they entirely invent for the book, and, like, solve at the same time, which is Lorgar is now like, maybe I should be the guy in charge.
Horus is dying. Like, Horus is not doing well.
Sure, but he gets better.
And what is Lorgar's exact rationale here for this? It's not simply I want to be in charge.
No, it's he thinks the gods want him to be in charge because he's more accepting of the gods. Where Horus is still trying to fight them. He's trying to work with them and bend them to his will.
Right.
And
Right.
Lorgar's just like, no, they're gods. You do what they want.
Right. Yeah. Lorgar is more in tune with
Yeah.
chaos. Good job, Lorgar. Impressive, man.
Well, a bold statement coming from not a demon Primarch. You know?
Right. It's a good point. That's a good point.
Angron's
Yeah,
more
so
in tune with
Lorgar's-
the warp than you, buddy. Come on, Angron.
Probably. Man. And then Perturabo. It's just so funny, that scene where basically Chaos is like, hey, Perturabo, you want more power? We can give you more power. And he, like, patiently listens and, like, lets them make their offer and doesn't interrupt them at all. And then he's like, are you done? And they're like, yeah. And he just blows them away. It's fantastic. Perturbabo's hilarious.
Portalaro is really good in this, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of impressed that he's managed to be part of this rebellion, ostensibly aligned with the warp, and he just has no interest in it at all.
Well, he has no interest in giving himself to it, right? Like
Well, that's what they want.
right, but he's like he is interested in the warp, but he wants to master it as well, and he's gonna do it his way. He's not gonna like sit there and make deals. There's a lot of Malagas being like, I have to pull up every drop of knowledge that I've been able to scrounge for the last 3 years to do some warp bullshit that doesn't work, right?
Yeah.
Perturabo is the great foil to that, where he's like, I'll figure it out in my own time. I'm not doing weird cult shit. I'll figure it out in my own way. Like,
Yeah, he's the best. He sucks, but he's the best.
especially when he goes to like the Forge world, and there's like all the corrupted tech priests, and they've got like a demon chained up in the basement, and he's like, I guess I'll make a deal with this guy. He's like, but I might free you, and he's like, I don't want to be free.
Yeah. Like, that's
Which-
not what I want. I like being... And Perturabo's like, okay, so you're being protected in your cage.
Yeah.
It's not just keeping you from everybody else. It's keeping you from someone else, too. Yeah. Yeah, and there's just a lot of, like, warp verbiage in here and prophecy-type stuff and
There's a bit of that, yeah.
a lot of that.
There's a fair bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So the afterword in this book from John French is effectively just like, as soon as Horus and his followers chose to align themselves with chaos, like they were gonna fracture. It is the nature of aligning with chaos. You're not
Right.
going to be able to stand united in any sense.
Right.
The point of the book is to show that Horus and those that led him and his followers followed him into darkness. They become slaves to forces they cannot control, bound by the chains of their own natures. So, bad times.
Bad times, yeah.
Really bad times.
It's not great for them.
No. Yeah, so there's a lot of questing going on, right? Like, we're trying to find what's going on with Horus. We're trying to find where the heck Fulgrim fucked off to. Trying to
Right.
find Angron.
Yep.
Right. And all of the quests are successful. We all find who we're looking for, so that's nice.
That is nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even if we had to, I don't know, beat Fulgrim over the head to make him come.
Yeah.
He,
That was great.
He was pretty uninterested in being like, let's go finish this, the war with the Emperor business. He's like, I want to hang out on the Eldari homeworld where Slanesh was born and be the center of everything.
Yeah. Again, perfection, like a perfect encapsulation of what Fulgrim is into. 100%.
Yeah.
He got what he wanted. He
Yep.
does not want to fight the Emperor. He doesn't care what he says.
He doesn't even want his legion, like the way he talks about them. He's like,
Right.
no, they can fuck off. It's fine.
Yeah, like several other Primarchs at different points throughout the book. I mean, the series, not the book, but
Right.
the entire series. There are so many times Primarchs were like, my Legion, what about him? Like, I don't really care. Sad times. Sad times to be a Legion under that Primarch.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so my question was, how did Lorgar learn the demon's true name? Fulgrim's true name.
Warp bullshit.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough.
Like,
That's what I figured.
I don't think there's any explanation for how he figured that out.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big plot point that they show up and Fulgrim's like, I'm not coming with you.
Yeah.
And Lorgar is like, I can bind you to my will with magic bullshit. And he's like, no. And then it works. And it's like, oh, okay.
Oh.
Everything works. Almost everything works in this book. Lorgar's attempt to overthrow Horus does not work in this book.
Not particularly well, no.
No.
Yeah, so what was
Yeah,
the other thing that I really liked in this book? Okay, so Perturabo.
Yeah.
There's a moment where he gets tasked with going to find Angron. And who is the equerry for Horus from the... I think it's Argonis. He's the emissary of Horus, who's like giving him his orders, and there's like a little capsule and a bunch of ritual to it.
Yeah.
And he goes, do you refuse? And he's like, excuse me, do we refuse? We've bloodied ourselves against, like, Guilliman here for, like, the last while, holding worlds that don't mean anything. You're asking me if I refuse orders now? That is, I think, really good, because it's setting up, basically why he... I don't know. It's one of those things where it's like, the fact that Perturabo quits the siege pretty much first, I think, out of all the traders, is one of those things that people know. It's like, he gets given command of the Siege of Terra, but chaos is chaos, and he can't control them. They don't follow his orders, he takes his ball and goes home, basically.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
But part of it is, the reason why he turned traitor, was that the Emperor gave him all of the shit jobs, right? His legion had all of the meat grindery kind of wars that he swears had to be won by meat grinders. And now Horus is doing the same thing. And it's important to note, I think it's set out, it's the middle step in that story. And it's important to note, and I'm glad it was there. Glad we got a book for it.
Yeah. Well, again, that's Perturabo's entire motivation, is that he feels underappreciated by the Emperor. That's it. Again,
He wanted
doesn't
a hug
want to
from
align
Dad.
him. He doesn't want power. He doesn't want to align himself with the warp. He doesn't want... Well, again, he's not willing to give himself over to the warp to become strong enough to do whatever he wants to do.
Right.
Whereas every other Primarch in Chaos is kind of cool with it. I guess Angron didn't really have a choice.
Right. Like, you can see a version where all the other Primarchs are trading, mortality for ethereal power or martial power. Perturabo doesn't want that. Right? He's not interested. He has that from his perspective. He thinks the Iron Warriors are already the best legion there is.
course he does. They all think their legions are the best legions there are, except for maybe Conrad.
No, he loves his legion.
Right.
Ugh.
So yeah, so Perturabo is aligned with the Chaos Legions, but in the sense that he would like to take down the Emperor, but that's about it. That's all he really cares about.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Emperor could have saved himself a lot of headache if he just gave that boy a hug.
If he'd given most of his Primarchs a hug, like, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, Horus.
Horus, he gave one too many hugs.
You think so?
Yeah, because Horus is so very he's very sure of himself, and that, like, yes, I get to inherit the Imperium of Man. It's mine, because only I can do this. He received one too many awards for mediocre behavior as a kid.
Right.
He's a little ahead of himself. That's
True. But I don't know. So, like, Horus made the decision to turn against the Emperor, right?
yeah. I mean, broadly
To
speaking,
some
yeah.
extent,
Yeah.
So like I just feel like if the Emperor had a better relationship with Horus, and Horus felt like the Emperor really did care about him, and I don't know if he turns, right?
Maybe. Here's the thing. There is what bullshit that you're about to hate, which is Horus in this is having like a bunch of vision quests because of Ross's spear.
Uh-huh.
And in it, he keeps going back to Ulanor, to when he decided to be the War Master.
Yeah.
What bullshit aside, there is no time in the warp. It is possible he went back in time to when he was at Ulanor and decided to be evil then.
Oh.
Like,
Yeah,
in
but paradox.
Warhammer doesn't
I
care for your
know.
paradox.
Time travel's paradox. Right. So fine. Sure. That's what happened. He went back in time to Olenor and decided to be evil then. Okay. I'm down. I don't care. It doesn't really change the story, right?
Right, but I'm just saying whether or not he chose to fall from his perspective wasn't his choice, because it was future him's choice implanting him with that information.
And then he killed his own grandfather and ceased to exist. Yeah.
He doesn't have a grandfather.
He does not. But that's the paradox, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just
Goes
saying.
back in time and kills the Emperor 20,000 years ago and ceases to exist.
Sure. The universe is a slightly better place because of it. But like that's the point. When you try to make the argument that, well, not the argument, you try to discuss whether a Horus chose to fall or was enslaved by chaos or enslaved by himself, weirdly, is not an option you can discard, you know?
Fine, that's fair.
Like I said, it's what bullshit you're gonna hate.
Right. You are correct about that. Good call. Yeah, that was interesting though. That in the book, it's like there's this shard of Horus, because shards of Primarchs are all the rage right now. Mm-hmm. There are so many shards of Primarchs running around. So yeah, there's this shard of Magnus that sees what he's been doing as bad, right? The morality's been applied to it. Mm-hmm. So it's at odds with the rest of him that's like fully convinced that what he's doing is the right thing. Mm-hmm. And that's why the wound keeps reopening and won't close, and that's what's killing him, is this one part of him that's like, what have I done? Mm. And then Malagurst is like, well, this isn't working for my war effort, so die, shard of Horus.
Right.
Yeah. And then everything's fine. Then Horus is back. Hooray. Good job.
Good job, Malagurst. You really saved the day.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big moment, too, because, like, without Horus, this doesn't even come close to working. Mm-hmm. And if this shard of Horus isn't killed, then you don't have Horus.
Yeah, and it's like Horus is, like, pulling himself apart. Parts of his soul are, like, still trapped in the Chaos Gate from Molech, fighting for endless wars.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, we need Horus together. We can't just have a part of him that's like regretful. He has to commit. He has to just do it, which is like the same. he had the same kind of feelings when he was like umming and ahhing about whether or not to accept the War Master position from the Emperor Dolanor, and that's the
Right.
parallels here. But like, I don't know. I really enjoyed that. I don't know if you
Mm-hmm.
like all it because it's all war bullshit, right? Like it's all. There's a point where a demon is like, "Is it what it seems?" And Malagos is like, "No, it's all metaphor, so I can understand it because it's warp bullshit." And he's like, "Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't."
Yeah, there's a bunch of that. Yeah, I mean, if there is any overarching theme of Warhammer and the Horus Heresy, it's that the warp is bullshit, and we are never going to sit down and explain it because there's
Yeah.
nothing to explain.
It's you're not
And
supposed to
please
be able
don't
to
ever
understand
try.
it. Yeah, no, you're not
Yeah,
supposed to be able to understand it. You
right. And
shouldn't try.
that's rule number one. It
Yeah,
is. It
yeah.
totally is. Yeah, you can mess with it, you can play with it, you can do all sorts of fun stuff with it, but do not sit down and try to concretely understand what it is or tell people what it is because no, bad.
Right. It's
Yeah,
not happening. Not
that's
happening.
exciting. Yeah. So Lorgar gets his ass kicked because Horus knows what he's trying to do.
Uh huh.
Angron is
Doesn't.
immortal,
Well,
so that's exciting.
yeah. I mean, okay. So, Chaos Gods give power is like Lorgar's entire point, right? It's like they're the truth. We got to bow down to them. There's no way for us
Yeah.
to survive if we don't recognize this. And by the way, the people at the top of the pyramid get a bunch of power from the Chaos Gods, right? Isn't that neat? Look at me doing psychic bullshit, right?
Right.
But then he's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, we need to go get Perturabo because he's the only one who won't say no to go and get Agron." And Perturabo just basically lines up a bunch of guys and is like, "Okay, he's a demon Primarch. I know what to do. Let's just shoot him before he like decapitates us." And it's like,
Yeah, and he uses Volks or whatever his name is, who's possessed.
Volk. Yeah, that's true. He uses like a what is he like?
Volks is really important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is Volk's Volk? What does he become?
Beats me. I think he's just a possessed space marine. He's just got a demon in him. That happens all the time.
Right, transforming into the first obliterator. That's what he's
Yeah.
called.
Right.
So
I don't think without Volks they can take Angron down. I think Perturabo very specifically needed that demon energy.
yeah, maybe.
Right?
You think it's the demon energy that fought the demon energy to
Yeah.
okay. So my perspective is it's just like Angeron has a ton of power now, but he's still going to fall into all of the same ambushes the World Eaters would have fallen into at the start of the Horus Heresy versus the
Yes,
Ultramarines.
he and all of his sons are dumbasses. We know. They're really good fighters, but they are dumb. Correct.
I just feel like that's Perturabo's perspective at this point, which is like he's the one that really sees that they're slaves to darkness and they're not really
Yes.
empowered by it. He even to like on the nose calls Angron a slave, right? Like
Yeah.
and
Oh,
rages
yeah.
it.
Straight up with it. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's great. Perturabo, again, he sucks, but I like a lot of what he does in this book.
it's fair. It's fair.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Because they're fighting and Perturabo's taking some hits and he's scoring some hits on Angron. And then it really doesn't seem it's until his demon infested buddy takes a shot at Angron and hits him that it's over.
Yeah.
Anyway, whatever.
I
Doesn't matter.
Here's the thing: an obliterator just has a bunch of weapons on it, right?
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, not that it's fair to use the gameplay from the tabletop's perspective, but an obliterator doesn't. It's not a psychic being, right? It just has a bunch of guns. You
So
know,
why is it our guy then? Why is it our possessed space marine? Why is it just not like a dreadnought who's all
because
hooked up, right?
it's a lot of guns.
The whole point of a dreadnought is that's a lot of guns. Like,
Yeah, I suppose.
anyway,
I'm just saying.
yeah, it's okay.
Nothing makes sense. It's all
So
bullshit.
right. So at the end of the book, we basically have, is Fulgrim on board? Because he gets unshackled and isn't immediately like, screw you guys, I'm going back.
Right.
Right?
I think now that he's there, he's like, oh, maybe this is interesting, right? And I think it's genuinely Lorgar's fault. He's like, Lorgar, I didn't think you had it in you to, stab Horus in the back like this. This is really exciting. And he doesn't want to be there right up until he's free. Now he's like, oh, I'll stick around because Horus is beating the snot out of him.
Right. And I'd like to beat the snot out of Lorgar too, because he chained me, the asshole. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't see what reason he has to stick around and march on Terra anymore. Like, why?
I think he exaggerates his detachment from his brothers at this point. And now
Okay.
that all of his brothers are there and all of their sons are there, he's like, you know what? He's been reminded of the virtues of that ideal,
Yeah.
and he's back on board. I think
Okay. Fair.
that's my guess.
Yeah.
But it could
do
it
you
could just
know
sound
that
fun. Like,
you know he's involved in the Siege of Terra, though?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Right, so he's there.
He doesn't just fuck off, but like,
Okay. So Fulgrim's there. Horus is there.
Magnus
Lorgar's
is
legions
there.
are involved. Magnus is there.
Lorgar's
Right.
legions are there. Like, there's a bunch of
Yeah.
word bearers on Ulanor who are like standing by to kill Horus, and then
Yeah.
Horus beats the snot out of Lorgar, and they all just kneel to Horus, being like, "My war master." Given the choice, I'd follow you over that prick.
Right. Good call, guys. Smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so they're there.
The only one.
The world eaters, whatever's
Yeah.
left of the world eaters is there.
Right. The only two that aren't there are Conrad Kurz, and a bunch of Night Lords
Right.
show up, but Conrad isn't there. And the Death Guard, because for some reason, Horus told him to go on ahead, and
Yeah.
that's entirely there because we need one more book before the Siege of Terror called The Buried Dagger, where Mortarion becomes a demon prince, and that has to happen somewhere, you know?
Gotcha. Okay. That's fair.
Yeah,
That's really funny.
yeah.
Okay.
Also,
All right, so the gang's all here pretty much.
gang's all here. Oh, speaking of here, I'm confused of the geography of the galaxy,
Right?
because they're like, all right, we're 190 years into the Great Crusade. We're as far away from Terra as we've ever been. Ulanor. And then Horus is like, all right, we're one step away from Terra. Ulanor.
I had that same thought. I was like, but that's the other way by a lot.
Right. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on with Ulinor's location. Maybe it has a really interesting ecliptic orbit where it suddenly gets close to Terra and then really far away every 150 years.
It's just symbolism, right? It's where Horus began his role as War Master. And so
Right.
now we're kicking off the attack on Terra. Let's go back to where it all began, right?
Yeah. Yes, I
It still
guess
seems
that.
that's way out of the way, though.
It does, and they already aped the symbolism here by doing this triumph thing on Istvan 5. After the Drop Site Massacre, they had all the legions there. They had all the Primarchs up on podiums.
That's true.
They
That's
already
true.
did this.
Yeah, that's weird. John French, why? Why'd you send him back to Ulanor?
Don't know.
Don't know.
Don't know.
Anyway,
Anyway,
it was a fine book. I didn't hate reading it.
it was also short, so
Not too bad.
if you didn't enjoy it, it was over quickly. It was like I listened on 1.2 speed. It was like an 8-hour audiobook.
Dang.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's
not bad at
zippy.
all.
That's zippy.
Yeah, it's pretty zippy.
Yeah. All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So next book.
Cool. The Mortarion book.
No, I think we should go back and read the book about the really big ship that never matters and is really terrible. Battle for the Abyss. Ooh,
It
That's-
never matters. That's hilarious.
it's yeah. I mean, okay. So in one of the Wordbearer Ultramarine books that we've read, they literally talk about how it was blown up, but Lorgar had built 2 more anyway. Like it literally, it literally did not matter, that book, and it's not good. That's why we skipped it. But
That's great.
yeah.
Lol.
So the Buried Dagger is what it's called.
Right, you said that already. I remember. I did not remember. The Buried Dagger.
By-
Of course, Heresy, book 54.
54 by James Fowler. Yep.
Refresh. Use reward points. Buy with 1 click.
Excellent.
That There's nothing else to say. They're still trying
You,
to trick me.
are you not even checking your library to see if it's there? For
No, there hasn't been a book that we've read in my library for like a year, it feels like.
I don't. I don't think we've done a year's worth of book clubs.
It feels like it's been a while.
It's been a while. I mean, if we did every Horus Heresy book, this would be book 54. But I know we've skipped at least 4.
Fair point.
At four novels, not even including anthologies, of which we've skipped more of.
Hey, look, they don't have the buried dagger, but I can be
Okay.
notified when they do.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Let's check the previous book. No, we reached a point somewhere where they stopped being at the library entirely, forever.
Fair enough.
I think they just got too recent for whatever licensing issues they had.
Fair enough.
But it's all good. I have the Amazon points for it. It's not a problem.
I don't want you to be homeless because you couldn't make your mortgage payments, but you were buying all these books.
That would be funny. If I could use Amazon reward points to pay my mortgage,
Do you have that many
That would
reward points?
I do not.
Didn't think so.
That
You
would be
using them?
incredible. Yeah, right? Maybe if I've been saving them up this whole time. Dang it. Poor planning on my part. Maybe one day when Amazon owns the country, then I can use Amazon rewards points to pay my mortgage.
Yeah, maybe.
That day's coming.
Any day now.
Yeah, right. The future is bad news.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, good. Anything else going on? No?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, cool. We'll have more Warhammer next week.
For sure.
Yeah, whatever comes up. Whatever comes up, comes up.
Yep.
Okay, rad.
Right.
All right, neat. So that is going to be it from us today. This has been Falcon Paladin and Summicron with another edition of the Falcon Paladin Hour. Talking Warhammer exclusively this time with a little bit of Disney film history.
Yes.
So that was fun. You can support the podcast by watching it at twitch.tv/Somicron or on youtube.com/@Somicron and by buying merch at falconpaladin.store and also by pledging at patreon.com/Somicron. So good options there. And until next time, as always, thanks for being here. Thanks for listening and or watching, and you take care of yourself.
Bye. Bye-bye.